knows best.
Hi friends, welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi, how are you? I missed you guys. I actually filmed last week's podcast episode like yesterday. However, okay, it's a new week for you and I forgot a few things when I was yapping. You guys, 40 minutes of that episode was me just telling stories. I apologize. I really am going to get to your questions that I asked you to submit last week, but there's a few things I wanted to touch on. Number one, I had a doctor's appointment last week and I didn't bring this up, completely slipped my mind. And the only reason I had this doctor's appointment is because I need a referral for an OBGYN here because my IUD is up. She's up. If I get pregnant, I swear to God, I will not be okay. So basically 5 years ago, I got an IUD up in Minnesota when I was in college. And I got the Kyleena and that was my first pap smear, but I did it through Planned Parenthood because I don't know why at the time. I think my mom recommended. I'd never seen an OBGYN. It was obviously cost efficient. Oh, because I had gone to Planned Parenthood like when I turned 19, 18, when I first got on birth control. I got on pills first. Okay. Oh, Brenna, don't start yapping away. But I feel like we should talk about this, and talking about like IUDs and appointments and doctors is really important because, for example, I haven't gotten a pap smear. I haven't been to the doctor since then. Since I've lived in Dallas, I for sure have not gone to a doctor here. And I don't know why I would go to Dr. Penguli in Bismarck. So I was reaching out to OBGYNs in my network, okay, because I pay for my own health insurance because I'm turning 27 this Thursday, which actually is last Thursday because you guys are listening to this on Monday. And I was looking for OBGYNs and I was calling around and they're like, you need a referral. And I'm like, wait, what? Why is that so? It's not that complicated, but it is. And so I had to figure out who my PCP, my primary care provider, was on my health insurance. So I set up an appointment with her. Okay. God bless her. She literally is 2 blocks away. I walked there to my doctor's appointment. And really, when I called to make the appointment, I was like, I don't even know what you call this. Maybe a physical. I was like, really what I'm looking for is just a referral. And they're like, okay, perf. So I go there. I had that at 9 on whatever day. Carter had a final at the same time. So I dropped him off. I came back. I took May on a walk and then I walked over. And I get called back. They take my weight, 162. My height, they didn't take. They just took my word for it. I said, why didn't you do that for the weight? But anyways, they took my temp. I go back into the room. I chit chat. I tell them my life, family history, the whole 9. And they make sure like I haven't had any surgeries. I'm not on any medications. I've never been. Cool. Great. Then the doctor comes in. Well, actually she's a PA, which I didn't know that. I guess I never really understood what PAs did, but she comes back, we chit chat. She does the whole heart rate. She does the blood pressure, which was 118/75. Sorry, you guys do not care about every single stat of my health. But basically she was like, okay, you want birth control? Like, what do you have? Yada, yada. And I was like, I just want another IUD. I went back and forth thinking about it. And my IUD insertion was so easy. I always hear horror stories. Wait, let's talk about that really quick. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get carried away. So I had so many problems with birth control pills, and to my own fault, I had an eating disorder, you guys, my freshman year of college, which if you want to chit chat about that, trigger warning, I can do an episode on that kind of, or like a main part of that. If you guys want that, please let me know. Anyways, I lost my period because I wasn't eating enough and I was over exercising. So that's when I got put on the pill because I was like, what do I do? Like, I lost my period. Obviously not good. Should the answer be to just go on the pill? Probably not, but like they just recommend it so much. So that's when I went to Planned Parenthood. They put me on the pill and you guys, it would work, right? Like I would go a month and then I finally got my period back after like a few months of being on it. And then very shortly, like every single month, my period would come sooner. Like it would be 28 days and then it would be 26 days and then it would be 24 days until I started getting my period twice a month. I was getting it like every 2 weeks. Okay. They were saying that nothing was wrong. Like I hadn't even had them check my vagina yet. So anyways, they would switch me. So I would get a different pill. It would be good. And then it would get shorter and shorter. And then I'd be getting my period. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just no way to live. And like, obviously that's not good. Like what's happening? But it's probably because I messed myself up. So all of college, right? Because I got on the pill like my freshman year. I just was switching birth control pills and they would work and then they wouldn't. But I got so used to it at the same time. So I'm like, fuck it. Okay, like I'm used to it, whatever. And it wouldn't be week-long periods. They would be kind of light. I don't remember now as much. But then I did a ton of research and I was like, okay, I need an IUD. So I moved to Dallas. Well, I interned here. If you guys know, I flew here in January. I was still on the pill, I believe. Maybe I wasn't even on birth control at this point. Maybe I stopped because I wasn't having sex. I don't think. Hopefully not. And then when I flew back to graduate, which was May 11th, I think, 2019. This is all around my birthday as well, May 9th. I flew in May 9th. I got my IUD May 10th, and that's why I know I'm exactly at 5 years. And the Kyleena, there are different kinds of IUDs, is 5 years long. So I'm like, I don't know if it's a hard stop. Like, I don't even understand how they know it only works for 5 years. Like, could it shorten? I don't know. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not pregnant yet, so we're good. But I waited a little too long. So I just had this doctor's appointment. Oh, and while I was there, she was like, do you want to get blood work done? Like, we may as well just do like a regular physical right now. We'll get blood work and then you'll be good to go since you're here. I'm like, sure, I may as well. I have never had blood work done. I am 26, almost 27. I have never. And that is not a good thing. Like, I think you need to do all of these things to make sure you're in good health, like catch things early. Our health is our wealth. Okay, I don't want to get into this, but it's so true. Like, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. Okay, you can worry about this, that, and the other. But if you don't have your health, you're fucked. So I was like, let's get it done. She sends me out into the lobby and she's like, somebody else will call you back. So then this little older lady, not that old, she was so sweet. She calls me back. And we go sit down, and you guys, I haven't had a shot ever since like the vaccine. I haven't had a needle in me. I haven't had anything. And we're just sitting there and I'm like, should I be nervous? I've never had an IV. I've never had an IV because I've never had a surgery. I was like, is that different? But my arm is just, oh, sorry, trigger warning if people are nervous about this. But we did the thing. I won't get into it. You obviously know what happens. I didn't, but she did it so quick. She did all the different things because you test for different things. And I got my test results later and everything's good. Everything's normal. I'm in good health, love. But now I'm just waiting on the referral to get my IUD replaced. I'm like, I messaged her this morning. I was like, can you hurry? Because getting pregnant is not on my to-do list. Not looking for that to happen. So that's an update about my health and my vaginal health. Now let's get into, oh my gosh, if you listened to last week's episode, I re-listened to it. Again, I forgot a major point of what I was telling you. Remember when I told you my car got stolen? Okay. And you also remember when I told you that my father used to leave his key in the car, ignition unlocked, the whole nine? When I called my father and told him about the damage, like how they drilled a hole and how they smashed the thing and used a screwdriver and how I had to fix it, he said, if you would have just left your key in the ignition, you wouldn't have to do all of that. This man literally was telling me to keep my car unlocked and keep the ignition key. I said, Dad, I live in Dallas, Texas. I live in a big city, not even just Dallas. I'm just saying, like, this is not Lincoln, North Dakota. Oh, well, if you had your key in, you wouldn't have all that damage. Are we for real? I said, okay, Dad, I've got to go. Love you. Okay, so that was a point that I forgot to make. And then last thing, and then I promise I'm getting into your questions. My family comes tomorrow. Now, they were going to come on Wednesday. Sorry, we'll do a whole recap next week's episode because obviously I'll film that after they leave. However, Carter's family comes like 2 days later. Does anybody else feel like, number one, when they're around their family, it is so weird to begin with? Like, I am not the same person I was when I lived at home. But when you are with your parents or your grandparents, like, you feel like you kind of have to be that person. I'm having like not crazy emotions, but it's almost exhausting. Like, especially when you go to your hometown, like if you moved out of your hometown, you're in the same house, like you're doing the same things. It's like, oh, like, have you guys not progressed? So being with your family is just like a emotional like whirlwind as it is. But then my family around other people, like my family, they're all adults and they're all wonderful human beings. Like I love my family. They're not like crazy. Nothing's wrong with them, but I am so aware of like everybody's emotions. So I just know I'm going to be like hyper analyzing everything they're saying and doing, and I'm gonna be embarrassed for no good reason. Like I'm my own person. Even when my dad and his girlfriend came last year and they met Carter for the first time and then they met the nanny fam, like you're just like, you feel responsible for your family even though you aren't. Okay, they're their own humans just because like they raised me, like they're them, but you feel like, do you get what I'm saying? Does anybody else feel this way? I'm just like already preparing myself to be exhausted by the end of the week, which entertaining and like making sure we have places to eat and things to do, like that's one thing, but I just know the emotion side of it, I'm going to be exhausted. Okay, families, and Carter's family is amazing as well. Like they should get along perfectly, like nothing, not that anything should go wrong. That's not what I'm saying, but do you get what I mean? Like just the emotions, like, okay, May dog, she's sitting over here on the bed and she needs to cool it. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Let's get into the questions. I am just going to rapid fire through these. There were a lot and I feel bad that last week's episode I didn't get to them, so I really want to get through them. Number one, I actually got a few, like there are two right next to each other right here. Friends who fall apart. Okay, that was one with a sad face. And then the next one says, lost 3 friends in April and only have 1 good friend left. Not sure what I'm doing wrong. And here's the thing. Number one, we do need to take accountability. Like if you feel like you know yourself better than anybody. Okay, so if you don't know the reason they left or like they're just drifting apart, number one, oftentimes I would say they're just drifting apart. You didn't do anything. Like on one hand, I want people to take accountability, but on the other hand, like this is life, and having friends your whole entire life, I feel like is few and far between. Like I just don't think that's so common. Every single friend that you have right now, you're not going to have until the end of your life. So many friends are like situational. And I'm not saying that that doesn't mean the friendships are genuine or real. They are so real, but they are for a moment in time. Like, for example, a work friend. Like a lot of the reason you're friends is because you work together. Like, do you have commonalities? Sure. But if like, let's say one of you leaves the job, you realize that a lot of it is proximity, or if these are just friends that you've had, like we're all changing. And number one, take accountability. Like if you did something, if you wronged them, like if you're super needy or if you're mean, or like that could be a real issue, but I would hope it's not. And I imagine that maybe, I think a lot of adult friendships just dwindle, and like, you cannot beg somebody to stay in your life, a boyfriend or friends, and you should not have to. And the sad reality is we want to not control people, but we want things to stay the same forever. And that's just never going to be the case. And regardless of what happened, if they didn't give you an explanation, like in their hearts, they just are either going a different direction or they've been busy or something, and that's just life. And I think you can appreciate the moments and the friendship, but if you're the only one trying to hold on and keep the relationship and they are no longer interested, like that's just going to be a shitty friendship as is. So number one, that. Number two, if you have no friends, if you have one friend, like that is okay. I think about all the time how growing up in childhood, like having friends is like the most important thing, right? Like you're in an elementary school and middle school and like there's cliques and popular. And if you're the kid, there's a podcast I'm thinking of, or I've heard somebody talk about this before, like if you don't get invited, or like, let's say you throw a birthday party and nobody shows up, you're a loser. Like it's ingrained in us to have a lot of friends. But that number one is like, once you're in adulthood, that's just not real. Like the majority of people have a few close friends, and that I think is the best. And that's just an opinion of mine. Yes, human connection is important. Like if you have no friends, I can see that's super isolating. It's lonely. Like connection, friendships are so important, but it comes in waves. And for example, if you're like not meeting new people, how are you going to make friends? It's like dating. If you're not going on dates, like you're never going to get a boyfriend. So there are times that you'll have more friends and times that you won't, but I think you just lean inward and know that you're a good person and hold on to the friends that you do have or the family, and maybe reach out to people that maybe you've lost touch with. But it's so normal. I think we feel like, oh my God, I'm such a loser, I only have one friend. My whole life, I've been a 2-friend max person, not on purpose, but I just don't connect with a lot of people like to my core, and that's okay. I have the closest, best relationships. Well, that's not true. I have a few friends that live in other places. Jen, Jessica, Chels, love you. So like I can call them, but we don't keep up on a day to day to day to week to week to week because they live in a different city, but each of them. But I have like these 5 friends, let's say, and I can call them and talk to them about anything. And that is amazing. And we might go months without talking. My friend Jen, okay, I have not talked to her in months. She's got a boyfriend. I had no idea. Okay, you're like, that's not your friend. It is. We catch up, we audio message. We sent like 10-minute audio messages. I love her, but we've lived in different cities ever since I've known her. I've seen her in my life like 3 times, but she still is like a genuine close friend of mine. And we don't talk for months at a time, and that's okay. Like friendships, each single friendship is going to look different, and that's just that. Okay, sorry. I really got carried away. Okay, this one made me laugh. Prioritizing myself, self-care, exercise, waking up early. I'm literally so lazy. You just have to have the discipline. Like clearly you want to. So like that's the first step, is like knowing that you want to treat yourself better. But then it's like getting the motivation, which motivation is fake. It is discipline. Like you just have to start doing the things, but start slow. Like I think people try and go gung ho. Like it's like working out, you know, when you're like, okay, I'm going to get into working out. You go lift weights. You're as sore as you've ever been the next day. Then you don't go again. Like we need to just prioritize one thing. Okay. You said self-care, exercise, waking up early. Start with waking up 10 minutes earlier than yesterday. Okay, here's another thing I was just talking to Carter about. Like, I wake up at about 5 a.m. typically, and waking up at like 4 a.m. is really no different. Like, early is early. Like, we were waking up at 4 a.m. when he had a final, and it's like, it's still hard to get up if it's dark outside and there's nothing prompting you. Like it's kind of hard. Let's say if you get up at 7:30, wake up at 7:15 the day before and slowly do that and then add something. But don't one day just try and exercise. Okay, do the face masks, do the red light therapy, wake up early, go exercise. Okay, I said this same things a million times. Don't do it all at once. Start one by one, slow but sure. And then it is just creating the habit. Okay, read the book Atomic Habits or Power of Habits. That one's my favorite, The Power of Habit. I think that's what it's called. Read a book on habits, because that is, number one, your whole entire life. Like we are just humans who enact habits. I think I'm saying that correctly. Again and again and again. Like that is our whole entire day. Like we are just constantly like something triggers us. We do the cue, and then you have the habit, and then you have the reward or whatever. I haven't read that in a long time, but it's just making them habits. Like, do I want to go work out every day? No, but I just do it. And now it's not even a thought in my brain, you know? So start slow and you'll get there. I believe in you. Okay. Oh, this was a good one. How to navigate physical touch when you're not a physical touch person, but my partner is. This is something that you probably don't want to hear, but I'm just going to be very real and raw. With every boyfriend in my past, not a physical touch bitch. And I think to my core, I'm just not. Like, I feel weird when people touch me. I'm not like a hugger. I'm just not that person. However, with Carter, like I love touching him. I cannot get enough of it. So that's just one thing I literally changed overnight, which is crazy. But in my past relationships, I'm not saying that he's the wrong one. Okay, let's not get carried away. This is so normal. We have different love languages. Communicate. Just like keep that conversation going. Be like, sorry, I'm just like not in the mood to touch. But like also you need to give. Like if you're just constantly pushing him off and he's a physical touch person, like that's just gonna go down a bad hill. Okay. It's give and take, but if you never feel like touching your boyfriend or like having sex, I think there's something deeper there, because you should want to with your partner. And that's just my thoughts on that. Okay, next. Okay, I'm leaving college and I won't ever have to see this guy I never dated, in parentheses, ever again. Amazing. Okay, sorry, I thought that was gonna be a question. How to not think about future events you were supposed to go to together after a breakup. It's normal. You're going to think about it. I remember in one of my breakups, we had his sister's wedding coming up. And I remember like over Christmas, I had helped with the freaking invites and we were cricketing things and we were doing DIYs. And then it was like a month or couple of months away. And I was so sad and I was so mad, but it is what it is. And again, that almost goes along with like the potential of somebody. We get so attached to like the future things that we're going to do, like the weddings and the dates. And you think about proposal and wedding, and like when you break up, it all comes crashing down, but really not that much is crashing down, but it's all these ideas that you had. I would just try and like distract yourself, get busy, focus on other things, maybe plan a trip for yourself around that time or whenever, something to look forward to, visiting a friend. That way it keeps your mind preoccupied, but it's normal to think about that. We all do it. Okay. Family doesn't like my boyfriend, only met a couple of times, in parentheses, what do we do? Okay, here is the thing. Family is so hard, and my relationship with Carter now is so different in how we are with family than previous boyfriends. But number one, how important is your family's opinion to you? Because here's the thing. Some people would be like, oh my God, if your family doesn't like him, they're right. Okay, not every family unit is perfect. If my mother came to me and was like, I don't like your boyfriend, I'd be like, okay, bitch, like she doesn't even know me. You know, like you don't know what's good for me. I wouldn't trust that opinion. But if you're super close, super tight knit, it's hard. Number one, it depends on like how much you value their opinion. If you value theirs a lot, which is good. Again, it totally depends on the parent-kid dynamic. Okay, let me get that very clear. That is going to be a hard thing. Like if you are very intertwined with your family, like the holidays and things, and they really don't like him, that could be tricky. Okay, if you don't really care that much about what they think, then it is your life. Like, you know what's best for you. You know you better than anybody else. If you are sure that he's a great guy, he treats you well, like he's what you're looking for, amazing. If there are doubts, however, that he's not and things have been rocky, and then your parents are also, they might know, they might have an inkling. So like really only you can decide though. It's funny, and why I mentioned Carter was because his family, of course they love me, but Carter is like the first person to be like, we are a unit. Okay, he's like, even if my friends didn't like you, even my family didn't like you, like, I don't care. Like, I love you. I think you are the most amazing girl ever. And that's that. So like, on one hand, and Carter's very close to his family, like you value their opinion, but if you know you and you think he's a great partner for you, then do you. But that's just my opinion. I'm just thinking from my perspective, if my family didn't like Carter, but there's no way they wouldn't. But also my family is very hands off. Like even if my partner was a loser, I think they'd be like, okay, like she's doing her thing. She'll learn, she'll figure it out. If she likes him, cool. So I have very hands off parents. But number one, are their opinions valid? Because sometimes parents, like if they're, you know, helicopter parents, they just pick up on one thing and they're like, we don't like him. So I hope that was helpful. I would just figure out myself, like what I think. Also maybe talk to them. Be like, what are the things that you don't like? Which again, on one hand, I'm like, your family is not married to them. Like this is your life. This is your partner. You are going to start a family unit with this person. So like, I know, for example, this is why I mentioned Carter as well. Like my previous boyfriend was really, really close with his parents. And for example, if you guys remember, he did not vibe with the social media and he was like, what if my family sees and da da da, as if I were committing crimes online. But he valued their opinion so much, and like they would always be involved in our life because they were also financially involved. Whereas Carter is so independent, and if that same thing were to happen, like we are our own unit, we're gonna have our own kids. Like our parents will die. Our parents live their own life. Like we will only see each of our parents like twice a year, you know? I don't want to mention names, but there's also a couple that I know, which you can put two and two together, that had big issues with their other person's in-laws, and they are so happy and so in love. Okay. And like, that's, you married this person. Like that's who you're choosing to spend your life with. Like, is it ideal to have your parents not like your partner? No, but only you can make the best decision for you. Sorry, that was a really long tangent. Okay. Toxic friendships. It just says toxic friendships. No, just like toxic boyfriends. Why? We choose who is in our lives. Why would you choose to have toxic people? You can choose. Nope. It is that easy. We as humans, like, of course, connection and friendship is so important, but healthy friendships and connections are so important. Get rid of toxic people in your life. It will change your life. It will change your life. I'm telling you. Goodbye. Okay. That's that. Okay. Feeling kind of hopeless with dating, and all my friends are in relationships, married, engaged. Okay. All I'm here to tell you is keep it up. I know it sucks, but you really just have to keep going on dates. Like the thing is, either you give up. Okay. If you're feeling like you don't love yourself and like that's a whole thing, I would say take a break. But if you're just exhausted after bad date after bad date, like it is part of the game, but it will also make finding your person that much sweeter. Like truly, you're like, Carter was a godsend. I was like, oh my God, this is like the perfect man for me. Shocked, which I didn't in that little stint of dating that you guys saw. No, did I go on a lot of dates? But in my life, the couple of years that you guys didn't see, I went on plenty of dates, met plenty of shitty men. Okay, but it makes it that much better when you're like, oh my gosh, like this is what it was for. Like I had to go on those dates. I had to be in those relationships. It led me right here. So I promise it's worth it. Don't give up and don't settle. Okay, thank you. Okay. How to get over getting rejected when you thought it was going well dating. Okay, and I also got a question about ghosting. It's hard. Like our feelings are hurt when we get rejected. That's normal. Like we want to be liked. We want people to want to date us, but a relationship with a person who doesn't want to be in it would never be a good thing. Like, what are you going to do? Beg them to be with you and then they say yes and then you're fighting every single nail? Or what? I'm so sorry. You're fighting every single day, tooth and nail, to like just get them to give you their time, to love you, to like, that will never work. And it sucks when you feel a connection with somebody and they don't feel it. You're like, what the heck? Like, is something wrong with me? What did I pick up on? No, we're just like, we like different kinds of people. Obviously, he probably wants to date a loser. Okay, if he didn't like you, like, sorry, he's just not into bad bitches. So that's his loss. You know, that's how I feel about that. Okay. How do I stop going back to the same man every time he says he misses me? Block him. Why are you allowing him to contact you? You just have to have self-respect. Okay. You know how it ends every single time. You are just getting caught in moments of weakness. And I need you to get a backbone and say, nope. No, this guy is toxic. It's never going to work. He doesn't actually love me. He doesn't actually miss me, because if he cared about me, he wouldn't treat me this way. That is just the truth. You have to block and you have to move on. Like, do whatever you have to do. It's never worth it. Okay. People always say date him until you hate him. If that's what you have to do, okay, but you're just wasting your whole entire life on this one loser, enough. Okay. That's that. Okay. Lifelong friend mad that we are in different parts of life. She has a baby and I'm single. What do I do? She's mad about what? How can you have a baby and be mad at anything? Like, shouldn't you be focusing on your child? Like, what are you supposed to do? Find a man off the street and get pregnant? That's, I hate being so harsh, but like, I just always think about myself and I'm like, I would never get mad at a friend because they either are single or taken while I'm something different. Like, that is just such wild behavior. I don't like that. I don't think that's a good friend. That's just my opinion. Okay. What do I say to people saying I moved on too quick? It's been 5 months out of 5 years, but it's done. Say fuck off. What do you mean? They do not know you. They were not in the situation. 5 months is a long time. And also, we do so much grieving in the relationship. And also, no timeline is the same. If you're ready, tell them to literally fuck off and keep doing you. Those are your haters. Those are not friends or family. If they're telling you that, ew, I hate that. Why are people so weird? Okay. This lovely guy I work with, sort of seeing now, but he's 10 years older than me. I think it depends on what age you are. Like, we talked about age gaps, I think last week, maybe. You know, if you're 35 and he's 45, like, it's up to you to say what you prefer. If you're like 19 and he's 29, that's a little odd to me. But do I love that you're seeing a guy from work? No. I mean, I have no advice. Well, you didn't even ask a question. So that's that. Okay. I live with my ex-boyfriend. Get out of there ASAP. Do what you have to do to get an apartment, to move back in with family. That is just a toxic situation. Living in a place where you hate, or you're around somebody that you don't like a bad roommate or an ex-boyfriend, just has to absolutely obliterate your mental health. I can't even imagine. Well, I had a shitty roommate once and it was awful. I hated going home. And I'm like, that should be my place of like sanctity, you know? Sanctity, is that the right word? So do whatever you have to do. Save every single penny. Do not go out. That way you can afford to move out or like figure your shit out. Okay, mother-in-law creating demands. Here we are again. This topic is a lot about parents, but like, number one, it just depends. Like, if your boyfriend or husband, I guess, if it's a mother-in-law, is so affected by his mom and like does things that his mom says and doesn't protect you and your feelings first, that's a red flag. And that, if you're married, I think you should have maybe paid attention to in the beginning, not to like shame you. This is a note to all the people. If this man is like so controlled by his mother and puts her above you, that is not okay. That is not okay. And I actually, you know, again, I think about my own positions in life. And when I was younger, and when you are younger, you're still like, you know, kind of attached to your parents. But as you get older, you're like, I'm my own adult. I'm making my own decisions. Okay. Oh, I would just chat with your husband and say, hey, like, we got to figure this out because my feelings are being hurt, or I'm made to do certain things that I don't want to do, and that's not okay. And he either has your back or not, and you go from there. Maybe therapy if it's an issue between you guys. Okay. Went on a Hinge date, not really feeling the connection. As girls, how are communicating that? I mean, after a first date, you really don't owe this man a damn thing, to be honest. You can just send a simple text and be like, hey, I really appreciate you taking me out, but I don't think I'm interested, or like, I'm just not feeling a romantic vibe. Wish you the best of luck. Cool. Thanks. Bye. It doesn't need to be that long, or like, you don't owe them anything. Like, everybody's going on first dates or dates to figure out who is their person and who isn't, you know? Like, if it's only been a date, I think that's fine. You can just say, not feeling it. Should you tell the new guy you're dating everything about your past? No. And I think that's so unnecessary. And I think this is something that girls, we want to know, or we think we want to know, but then we get our feelings hurt. I don't think discussing exes is important at all, because here's the thing. People are always like, but what if he cheated? Number one, if a man cheated, he's probably not going to tell you that. And if he does, number one, that's crazy. But number two, what are you going to do with that information? You're not going to leave. Okay, if you're already in that thing and you're discussing that, like, And that sounds so harsh, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think there's any information in past relationships that's helpful. Like, me and Carter have never talked about each other's exes. Like, that has just never been, because it does not matter. Like, they have nothing to do with me. My exes have nothing to do with him. Like, we are two people coming into this relationship. We are who we are from those relationships, but I don't think he needs to know. And like, if you're like, well, I got cheated on, so I need to tell him that I have trust issues, I think you should work through those trust issues before you get into a relationship, because carrying that over, like, yes, it's a normal thing. We have trauma, but like, work through that. I think that's such a, not burden, but like, such a weird thing to put on your partner. Like, they're a new human being, you know, like if you're out dating again, you should probably have worked through that trust. But I guess I've never been cheated on, so maybe that's insensitive as well, but that's just my opinion. I don't think you need to tell the guy about your past. And I don't think he needs to tell you his. Of course, if you guys chit chat and it comes up and you both want to talk about it, do that. I don't give a fuck what you do, but I'm just saying, I don't think it's necessary at all. Okay, I'm in love with my best friend, but we can't be together right now. Why? Why can't you be together? This is not some fairy tale romance movie, I don't think. Is he a prince? What's the holdup? I need more information. Okay, my friend is in a very controlling relationship and is starting to ghost our group. What would Brenna do? Have you guys expressed that he's a controlling piece of shit? Because if you have, amazing. I think you got to let her do what she's going to do. If you haven't, I would express that. Or like, if you really want to do your due diligence, I would bring it up again one more time. But then like, if homegirl's not getting it, you got to let her do what she's going to do. You can't control her. You can't. She's not going to listen. Clearly she's not. So let her do her thing and she'll come back to you. Make sure she knows how you guys feel. Well, number one, are they your opinions, or is he really bad? Just tell her, like, we don't like that he does this and this and this, which I'm sure you have. And then the hard thing is you're going to have to let the girl fail, I think. Like, what are you going to do? Make her break up with him? She's not going to. Okay, let me do a couple more. Sorry, there were so many. I blocked a guy, but I can't get over him. Have any advice? If you have the ability, I would go to therapy. But what is holding you back? Like, are you looking at photos, texts? Like, you cannot stop. How long has it been though? Also, like, if it's been a week and you just blocked him, like, yeah, of course you still have like lingering feelings. But if it's been a long time, I would probably seek therapy. Because if you aren't able to get yourself out of it in a couple of months, I feel like you might need help with that. Is that good advice? You guys, please tell me. Do I give the worst advice? I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, let me see. Some of these are just like statements. Giving guys a second chance. I've always been against it, but also like, I don't know, maybe. Nope. I would say 9 times out of 10, actually 99 out of 100 times, no, because obviously it depends on the circumstance. But if he's saying he's changed, if something happened and you guys broke up, like, I promise it's going to be the same old shit. Okay. Took a risk with a new employer and they are awful, but can't find anything that makes equal pay. I would just stick it out. Obviously, for the meantime, we need to make money, but just keep looking, job searching. I know it's a task. I know it's hard, but staying in a shitty job where you're miserable is worse. Don't get stuck in the like, well, it's not bad enough, because then it'll be 10 years later and you're still in that job complaining about said job. I would just really be diligent, like on the weekends, sending out applications, you know, connecting with people on LinkedIn. It's hard, but you know, you might not love your job. Like, I don't think that's a realistic standard for a lot of people to have. A job is a job, but you cannot like hate it and be miserable there, because your life will become miserable. And that is just the truth. Okay. Balance on how to continue girl time when in a serious relationship. I think it ebbs and flows. Like, I think when you first get into a relationship, you're like all in, you spend all of your time, but then eventually like it kind of subsides and you're like, okay, I'm going to do things with my girlfriends. I would just make sure you reach out to your girlfriends, ask them to hang, or if they're asking you to hang, just that man, if you guys are together and he loves you, like you can go out with your girlfriends. He's not going to go anywhere. Like what's going to happen? He's going to break up with you? No. Okay. And you need girl time. Like you need friend time to talk about things. So like, it's just like a different relationship that you have to have for just your well-being, your quality of life. But I think don't be hard on yourself. Like it's easy to fall into that trap. And even I have one of my best friends, she lives with her partner and like she works a lot like I do. And I haven't seen that bitch in a month, 2 months. And I know like her and her boyfriend just hung out this weekend, but I get it. She works a job and like, even though they live together, sometimes it's hard to get quality time. So go easy on yourself. And just, if you're cognizant that you want that, like that's good. And then it's just like putting in the effort and making it happen. And maybe it's, once a month or once every week. I just hate leaving the house. So mine ends up being like once a month, but find what works for you. You'll figure it out. It's a balance. And like it ebbs and flows. Like sometimes maybe you'll have like a million plans with your girlfriends and then it'll be like stagnant for a month, So just do whatever works best for you. Okay, what's your opinion on getting back with an ex? I hate it, but I've done it. One of my serious relationships, we dated for a year and a half, a year and a half, and then got back together a year and a half later. Shit crumbled the same exact way. And like nothing was wrong. Well, everything was wrong. He just wasn't the right person. But yeah, I do not recommend it. Okay. Another college question. College. I'm already committed to my dream school, but the tuition is insane. $50,000 a year. I mean, this is something that I wish people talked about more before I went to college, which I came out only with like 40,000 total, maybe. Roughly, give or take some, I don't remember, but if you are paying school on your own and you plan on being at the school for 4 years, that is $200,000. That's not, when you go into school and they have loans, it seems so fake. Like it's not real money. I did pay back all 40,000, which I did, thankfully. But I wish I would have known more. Like I wish I would have maybe gone to a general like tech school 2 years prior. Well, everything happened how it was supposed to happen, but I was only looking at like 40,000 total. $200,000. Carter's law school, that is what we're up against, and he's going to make great money, but it is still $200,000. So it is your dream school, but also this is your livelihood like after college. If whatever you're going into, let's say you're going into like teaching, for example, the pay is what? Anywhere from 40 to 60. I don't know the pay. It just depends on the wage that you're looking at. That is not worth it. Like that is just that you're never going to be able to pay that off. Like you have to be logical, even though it's your dream school. If your parents could help you, that's one thing, but damn, I could not even look at schools in that range. Like I didn't even apply to anything like that because I would have never been able to do that for just like a regular degree, even in anything. Like just undergrad for hospitality, for communications. Like what jobs are you getting out of undergrad that are a good chunk of money? Maybe engineering. I don't know what any salaries are. Just really like spend time and think about that because it is not for the weak. $200,000 in debt. Okay, I'm just going to do a few more. I actually just got a call from Carter and he was like, what kind of questions did you get? And I just read off one of the recent ones where she said that her boyfriend's parents made him break up with her. And he was like, no, they didn't. He just didn't have an excuse and he just wanted out and told her that his parents told him. I said, wait, what? I never even thought of that. It was just an excuse. And he was like, potentially, like if it's some little bitch boy. Yeah, of course he did. I'm like, dang. I said, you need to be giving advice. And then we kind of went into the tangent of like breakups and how you never really get the honest truth. Like at the end of the day, a breakup happens because they don't want to try anymore. They're just no longer interested in being in that relationship. Like I'm working on myself. My parents made me, whatever the excuse is, there's really not that much truth to it. Or maybe there's a little bit, but also I think like Carter also just said on the phone, he said, sometimes you can't handle the truth. Like sometimes the truth isn't necessary. Like, yes, honesty is the best policy, but I get what he's saying. Like if a man were just to rip you to shreds and be like, okay, it's this, 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 and this, like I wouldn't want to hear that. So anyways, a little conversation that me and Carter just had. Let me get back to it. I'm going to do just a few more and then I got to get back to cleaning. Okay, wait, I had this ready, but then, okay. Been seeing talking to a guy since December. How do I ask him what we are without looking weird? I almost just said your name. It is May. You've been talking since December. That's fucking weird that he hasn't wiped you up. Just say, hey, I really like you. I'm not seeing anybody else. Like, what are you thinking? Number one, if you asking what are we ruins this relationship, it was not good. It is not good. I think this is already bad that it's been 5 months, 6 months, and it's not clear that you guys are together. Ask him. Just straight out ask him. Okay, it's better to know because I'm sure you're losing your goddamn mind because I would be. Okay, dealing with inexperience. Inexperience in what? Number one, I know, like if it is, let's say sex, if you're young and doing things for the first time, we all started somewhere and like, it's okay to be embarrassed, but also there's nothing embarrassing about it. Like the only way you get experience is from trying things and doing things and you'll learn. That's all I have for that. Okay. Let me keep going. When to dump a friend? I feel like if you're asking that, you probably should. And dump a friend sounds so harsh, but if you're just not really feeling it anymore, I would just tell them. And that's that. Like we've had this friendship conversation a million times, you and I, okay? It happens and it is okay. And it is normal. Okay. My ex and his new girlfriend are working at the same job as me this summer. How do I react? Okay. That's annoying as hell. Can you get a different summer job? Like, how do you react? You do nothing. You act like it doesn't affect you. That's what I would do. But maybe just get a different job if you can. I know that's probably so annoying. I guess summer is right around the corner. In my head, it's like March, but it's definitely May 6th today. So you just keep it cool. If you're staying there and they work there as well, just like be as cool as a cucumber. It's going to be annoying. It's going to be hard, but there's nothing you can do or don't work, but I would suggest working, obviously. Okay. I'm going on first dates and then being ghosted and I'm the one carrying the date. I'm so confused. Guys are fucking weird. Okay, nothing's wrong with you. You're okay. Just keep going on first dates. I have nothing else to add to that. How to let go after a breakup. I want to be over him so bad. It's been 4 months. Okay, if you're not talking to him, you deleted him on socials. Again, I talked about this before. Maybe seek therapy if like really you are completely cut off from him and you just cannot get over it. I think asking for help is good. Okay, I need to be done with this. Last question. How to stay calm when starting a new relationship. I'm a chronic overthinker. Maybe I shouldn't have even read this one out loud because I've never been an overthinker. Take it day by day. Again, in any relationship, even at the beginning, just like over communicate. Just like I understand how it can be stressful and you're like, are they seeing other people, whatever, but also in very early stages of dating, like they should be dating and like it's okay for them to be dating. And I know that sucks. I feel like when we're young and you're in high school and college, like relationships just happen and like that's that. But once you get older, like you really date and you go on multiple dates and like things just don't work out. So maybe also seek therapy. I'm just pushing off my advice onto a therapist, but with the overthinking, I can't really help because I've never been that person. Okay, let me finish. Let me do another one because that wasn't very helpful. Okay. Wait, I feel like I went through most of them. Let me keep looking. Sorry, I really don't want to have to edit this that much, so I'm trying to fill the space where I'm looking with my voice. That way I don't have to chop it up. And I think it's way more cohesive when I don't have to do that. Like I think the podcast better when I just keep talking. Okay. Finding emotionally available men. I'm going to do a whole episode on this. Shall I? because I think there's a lot of things, a lot of ways to find emotionally available men. Number one, it is just dating. Like, it is a numbers game. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a broken record, but you just have to meet people. Like, and who's to say, I talk about this as well, like some guys, I think for their person, for the right girl, like they will be emotionally available. They will do all the things. They will pull out all the stops or not pull out all the stops. And I think there's just ways to cater and find just like good quality men, like nice, just like great, wonderful gentleman men. And I think that's where we need to pick from. And I feel like if you're on the dating apps, I have tips and tricks. So maybe next episode I'll do that on how to find like green flag men. Should I do that? Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. I'm so sorry. The end of this was so chaotic, but I have to go. I love you guys. I will see you next week. I can't wait. Have the best week ever. And we'll talk then. Okay. Bye, guys.